You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Missed something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the roads. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Welcome in. Welcome into the raw experience. The divine just dropped that in as we were coming on, so I had to type it in everywhere. Welcome into the raw experience. You get to experience the divine in the expression of raw. As Marcus and I open up to you, open up to raw and open up to you. Not just teach. You're not here just to learn. We're here to gather the essence of all that is and all that is not. To gather it in, to breathe it in, and then to ooze it out of us and let it expand all around us. Because where we have one experience, there is a droplet of more experience to share. What we take in and what we put out is shared with the collective of all, everywhere, all beings, everywhere, in every dimension, in every vibrational essence of the cosmos. Your experience is Ra's experience, and Ra's experience is yours. You get to take what resonates from this now moment, and you get to use it and create with it the way you so choose. Not the way Marcus chooses, not the way I choose. The way you choose. We are here for an expression, an experience, a clandestine meeting with the cosmos today. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited. I can't hide it. Over to you, Marcus.
Over to me. What does it be? Well, it'd be the introduction to Tao. The introduction to Tao is ancient Chinese philosophy about source energy, the eternal unexplainable, the Tao. And it's about our relationship in the Tao. So I've received Tao blessings or Tao activation ceremonies through traditional Chinese masters here in Ohio. And it's something that is not advertised. It calls to you and it's word of mouth. And man, it was such a beautiful ceremony. It was definitely one of my most favorite ceremonial ancient traditions that I've experienced in this body for sure. So I would like to read where Spirit has just led me to out of this Tao book. And it says, the supremacy of Tao is based on the heavenly Digestion shore can perform the passage of Tao. So the Din Tun Shore is the one that leads the ceremony. So it says, enlightenment of Tao is directly opening the main gate of our bodies, which revives our divine nature. It reveals that heaven is not beyond oneself. Instead, one's true self merges into the entire universe. That is the supremacy of Tao. How beautiful, like, you know, I see the similarities in Sandy's podcast yesterday, embodying universal laws, exploring karma and dharma. Then the raw material here in these episodes, Ra talking about accountability of our mind, body, emotion complex and how we create our own cause and effects of our reality. And then here we hear in this book of Tao talking about the main gates of our bodies and the divine nature of our energy centers, and also revealing that heaven is not beyond oneself, but is instead one's true self merged in the entire universe. And that is what the supremacy of Tao is just being merged with all that is, and no needing to take yourself out of it one bit. Or even, I like to kind of say is, you know, there's no need to identify, there's no need to label. It just is, and you just flow with it and be it. And it's formless and shapeless, and it bends at every curve. Just like Bruce Lee says, be like water, my friend. As we do a rewind on last week's episode.
Ooh, wow. What a way to kick off.
Wow. I'm going to say it again. Wow. Seeing all the different contexts. 7 hermetic principles, hermetic philosophy, right? The all.
Yep.
Right? The all. I mean, humanity is the only one that separates stuff out of adrenaline. The vibration offered by the energizing spiral of the pyramid is such that each cell, both in space/time and in time/space, is charged as if hooked to your electricity. Your keenness of mind and your physical and sexual energy of body and the...
This is almost giving me chills, like big chills right now. Okay, the raw center. The raw center in relation to what we just heard from Sandy. Okay, so it says here that, number 1, it is the entire solar plexus chakra, which reconfigures the mental body layer into a golden solar gate energy vortice. And then it talks about it runs currents into a golden orb. And then it talks about embodying the different dimensional layers.
Higher self said, hey, we've been doing this a long time. We haven't choreographed anything. We have never contacted each other and said, okay, what you going to say today? Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find these videos, or I'm going to connect with these reels. Nothing. And let me expand that. Marcus Christolight produces my Soul Awakening podcast
And
series.
also, if we're identifying with the world, instead of allowing ourselves to illuminate within with our connection to source. And when I say identifying with the world, this is allowing society to tell you who you are.
He said,
and who
Ra is in my name. Want to hear that again? He said, Ra is in my name.
Can you hear that? Ra is in my name, is what she said. And it's not just Ra, but it's also sand. And it's Sand Ra. So you got the
Sand
Ra with the Egypt sand, sounding like a golden ray vibe. I don't know if we can withstand.
Ooh. Ooh. Let me tell you, we got to start it with the Tao. We did a rewind. Now we come to the now. We started with the Tao. We did a rewind. And now let's do the now. Are you ready? I'm ready. Are we ready for the first question? Let's let it happen. Okay. All right, here we go. The questioner says, well, is physical disease and illness as we know on this planet rather widespread on a third density negative planet before harvest into fourth density negative? I am Ra. Physical complex distortions of which you speak are likely to be less found less found as fourth density negative begins to be a problem choice. Or not problem, but probable choice of harvest due to the extreme interest in the self, which characterizes the harvestable third density negative entity. Much more care is taken of the physical body, as well as much more discipline being offered to the self mentally. This is an orientation of great self-interest and self-discipline. There are still instances of the types of diseases which are associated with the mind complex distortion of negative emotions such as anger. However, in a harvestable entity, these emotional distortions are much more likely to be used as catalysts in an expressive and destructive sense as regards the object of anger. The questioner. I am trying to understand the way that disease and bodily distortions are generated with respect to polarities, both positive and negative. It seems that they are generated in some way to create the split of polarization, that they have a function in creating the original polarization that occurs in third density. Is this correct? I am Ra. This is not precisely correct. Distortion of the bodily or mental complex are those distortions found in beings which have need of experiences which aid in polarization. These polarizations may be those of entities which have already chosen the path or polarization to be followed. It is more likely for positively oriented individuals to be experiencing distortions within the physical complex due to the lack of consuming interest in self and the emphasis on service to others. Moreover, in an unpolarized entity, catalysts of the physical distortion nature will be generated at random. The hopeful result is, as you say, the original choice of polarity. Oftentimes, this choice is not made, but the catalyst continues to be generated. In the negatively oriented individual, the physical body is likely to be more carefully tended and the mind disciplined against physical distortion. Our body and our mind is reactive based on what energy we're polarized in, what we choose. We came here to make a choice. We got to choose to be the polarization of positive or the polarization of negative. Choosing the positive polarization is service to self, knowing that self is always taken care of, because that was the first root chakra, that all needs are being met. And if you're doing service to self and you're vibrating there, then the lessons that you learn from from staying in a positive polarity, you might get a headache, but that headache might lead to you walking in to the doctor to meet the next place that you're going to have give a speech at. It's leading you to something. It's a catalyst. Same way. If you have if you're polarized to the negative and you're serving self all the time, come what may, no matter what comes, put it that way, right? Service to self. No matter who's in your way, walk over everybody. And it can be traumatic to do it that way, because you're always on the go, on the grind. And your body and your mind pay dearly for that in the negative polarity. But still being in negative polarity, there's a catalyst. There's a lesson. It might take longer for the lesson. It might be deeper, problematic with having disease or dis-ease. It might bring the body uncomfortability as the lesson is learned. Over to you, Marcus.
Over to me. Well, I gotta say, something on my heart. It's not all the time that I really just take a moment to just directly say something from my heart. And something happened today that, as a human being, of empathy and of connection to a spiritual energy. I kind of like had to take a pause for a moment today in this afternoon evening time after I had watched a video of, something that happened today. And there's moments in life where, death like really sends a message in a way. And it could be near death experiences, it can be death itself. And for myself, I've had quite a couple of encounters with near death in the last like year period, 2 years, between my father and myself. And it's like I get this feeling from deep within. It gives me chills through my body whenever I receive whatever message it is from death energy. And today was another example of that today. And it really brought the humanity out of me of, oh yeah, like we really don't know what tomorrow has for us on this planet and the rest of this universe. And with that, I just want to send love to anybody and everybody that could really just be feeling this moment of what happened today. And someone got taken out for voicing their views on political things and other different areas of life. And this was someone that you typically see as like a regular podcaster or YouTuber and person that just wanted to express their truth and try to do some better for people. And he literally got taken out and shot today in front of a whole entire university crowd of people on campus. And there's a little bit more than I wanted to see, that's for sure. But what I saw, though, even though I didn't necessarily want to see it, it really just went to the core of my heart of feeling humility in that moment of just like, wow, that can really happen. And it just happened. And, sometimes you think about like, some of these people have children, they have babies that are growing up, they have partners, things like that. So what I'm getting to is, first of all, I want to send condolences to Charlie Kirk's family and anybody else that has a deep connection, as it's totally unexpected to go through in this world, especially on that level of what had happened. And what I'm really getting to and want to wrap up with is really finding the power of neutrality in this world. Finding the power of, not allowing others' beliefs or allowing sides to become a measure of where we feel like we can't share life with another person in some type of fashion, whether it's from a distance or in the same household, whatever it may be. I just want to give out the words of just love, and I hope that we can, through these kind of experiences on this planet, while we're here in these vessels, come together even closer and find even deeper compassion for each other as human beings. Even if we have differences, even if we have different beliefs and opinions, as we always say, you can always take it or leave it. And you can always co-create with your free will in your own way as well. And the reason why I bring all this up is because I really see that, we can really evolve together despite our differences of beliefs and things of that nature. And I really want people to remember that they can also be safe in this world. And moments like this, it can definitely make us think a little differently at times. So, with that, I just want to close off with saying I love all of you guys and I appreciate you guys for what you do. And appreciate you, Sandy, as well, for what you do. And, you know, this life is a very beautiful and precious thing. And I'm just grateful that I'm here. And I'm grateful that I get to share these moments. And it's a one-of-a-kind thing to be who we are in these moments. And lastly, also, you know, I'd also just want to give people my support too, that, you know, if you're really struggling mentally or struggling with, you know, feelings towards someone or yourself, please reach out. You know, reach out to myself. You can reach out to others that are supportive or are trained in practice to help you be able to transform. And with that, I'll pass it back.
So before we move on, I'm not sure if my saving grace is still in my Instagram, but I just want to hold a little space for you because we're all going through something emotionally. We come through what we call I have a friend who calls all of this the internet streets. And I don't know, my internet just is saying that it's having fun loading the live video. I have no idea what that means. Hopefully she's still listening. You know, but we're all going through, you know, something, you know, and it looks and feels like we might be the only one going through it when we're in it. Whatever the feeling is, the feeling of sheer just emotional turmoil. Just like Marcus said, you never know what's going to happen. Well, you do know two things that are going to happen in this duality, in this illusion or matrix. We are born and we will leave this body. We will die. We just don't know when. We don't know how the story was written. We're playing it out. We don't know, as we're playing it out, what we're going to leave behind or who we're going to leave behind. We don't know. Infinite possibilities. But we can hold space for each other through these situations and circumstance. Always just drop me a DM. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. But I can let you, I'm an authentic listener. And I can hold space for you. And then I can help you find someone that will help you. That will meet you where you're at. That's all Raw one was saying. Meet you where you're at. In whatever emotion you're in. And see, the thing is, in any live you've ever seen me in any video that you've ever seen me post, I remind you that life, I do not believe it was meant to be simple or easy. It was just meant to be. However you're living it, however you're experiencing it, however you're expressing it. And the death of a loved one does not come easy. You're meant to have those feelings. You're not meant to spiritually bypass them. Your higher being wants to know what it feels like when you feel sadness or you feel loss. It wants to know what you feel when you feel pains in your body. It wanted to know what I felt as I was laying down, closing my eyes, getting ready to go to sleep and have surgery. It wanted to know what I was feeling. It wanted to know what feeling scared was. Just a little bit. Not fearful, but nervous. It wanted to feel that. But sometimes you feel it a little bit more and get stuck in it. And that's what soul family is about. There are soul family that can help you. You know who you vibrate with. There might be a lot of people on this internet streets that are not vibrational savvy, but you know it when you come in contact with them. You'll say, "Ooh, they're not for me." And it's okay to be gracious and say thank you, but no thank you. And find somebody that will hold space for you. Not somebody that might, be your buddy that keeps you in victim mode, but maybe somebody that will, activate you so that you move out of victim mode. All right? I just wanted to add that. Because loss is very hard in this density. Because just as you think that you started to figure out that you've got the spiritual, triune act together, and then something happens that just really rocks your world, and you feel like you take 10 steps back because you're more in your physical than you are in your spiritual. You were meant to be in physical, because that's the only way that your higher being gets to learn what that vibration feels like. That's the only way that you get to teach it. This person's family is going to have some feelings that are going to generate not just emotions, but it's going to generate or activate things to rise or to evolve. Evolve is a better word. But it doesn't mean that the catalyst feels good. That's all Ra is saying. Is sickness and illness is just a catalyst. We get to decide how to learn how to be transformers of the catalyst, alchemists of the catalyst. Anda ko ati hesia shulaki ma chuchan dakina. Eso suku uta ati sia na tote ki na chese no to ayena kuanaka. Bale ku uche na takike da de shi shulaku. Eso no to ko ate na shi. Sheshun la ki ula maka. Sheshun la umnaka. Apoko ate ma keshen. Wholeness and balanced love. Begoshena ta iana kuatatena. From my soul to yours. Whoever you are, wherever you are. Malaku ota iana ka ainte iene. Kesota te ien. As we move on, the questioner says, this planet to me seems to be what I would call a cesspool of distortion. This includes all disease and malfunctions or malfunctions of the physical body in general. It would seem to me that on average, this planet would be very, very high on the list if we just took the overall amount of these problems. Am I correct with this assumption? I am raw. We will review previous material. Catalyst is offered to the entity. If it is not used by the mind complex, it will then filter through the body complex and manifest for some form of physical distortion. The more efficient the use of the catalyst, the less physical distortion to be found. There are, in the case of those you call wanderers, not only a congenital difficulty in dealing with the third density vibratory patterns, but also recollection. However dim, I believe it's recollection, however dim, that these distortions are not necessary or usual in the home vibration. Ra continues and says, we overgeneralize as always. There are many cases of pre-incarnative decisions which result. It results in physical or mental limitations and distortions. But we feel that you are addressing the question of worldwide spread distortion towards misery of one form or another. Indeed, on some third density planet spheres, catalysts have been used more efficiently. In the case of your planetary sphere, there is much emphasis use of catalysts and therefore much physical distortion. We're not using it properly. So we're going to have physical disease and discomfort, mental abuse of body mind, right? Because we're not using it properly. We're not taking it in, discerning it, asking, well, what is it? This is showing up here and now in me, in my body. What is it trying to tell me? We're just reacting to it. And when we react to it, the universe says, oh, you want that for that. Oh, you want to believe that you're going to die from this disease. Oh, you want to you want to believe that your body is going to be in discomfort because of this injury. Let it be so. That's the energy. The energy says, I'm going to mirror you. I'm going to do exactly what you want me to do. That's all Ra is saying. The universe says, let the distortion continue. Right? The questioner says, then I will ask if there is anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or to improve the contact. I am Ra. Continue as always in love. All is well. You are conscientious. I leave you in love and in light of the one infinite creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite creator. Adonai. And then we begin with section 67. But before we start, over to Marcus.
I'll be honest with you personally, I don't really have much to say. I feel like it was like a listening moment for me. And I just want to say, oh, okay, I see what's happening now. Something is telling me the words slow down. Slow down. And that's the energy that I'm in, that I feel like is just slowing down. And this may be a message for anybody that this resonates with in the moment, but we may be racing in our mind lately. We may be really, really, really focused on the future. Maybe a little bit of fear in there as well. And we just may be a little untethered from just feeling at ease, feeling regulated, feeling like maybe we just can't be present. And if this is you in this moment, I just want to give you the reminder that it's okay to be able to let yourself know that you can slow down. And sometimes it's all it is. We just gotta be like, hey, Marcus, slow down for a moment, man. You've been doing so much. You've been doing so good. You've been working towards everything. Just slow down for a moment and just really take it all in. Process and let yourself be in the moment for a moment and just take a reflection of your growth, your journey, the efforts you put in this third dimension. And I gotta say, it's a good feeling when you slow down sometimes and you just been really building or creating, and then you take those moments where you're like, whoa, this kind of feels a little unfamiliar, but familiar at the same time. Should I be doing some more things? But really, I don't need to do more things in this moment. And I'll be honest with you guys, I kind of had this moment not that long ago, because this summer I have been literally retreat festival almost every weekend of the whole summer. And then in the middle of the week, going to my partners in Pennsylvania. So it's been like move, ground, move, ground. And I'm just so grateful for all of it. But just recently, like 2 weekends ago, it was like my stopping point of the cycle, so to say. And it felt weird for a moment. It was like, whoa, I'm so used to having to do so much stuff with my energy. Now I'm like looking for stuff to do with my energy. So that was when I started just really getting more into my breath and just getting a little bit more present and embracing how open my energy was. And something about polarity, I really am becoming even more grateful for experiencing polarity. I used to kind of have this thing, especially as I continued to kind of evolve or wake up, so to say, whatever you'd like to term it as. I started kind of becoming a little like iffy about polarity. I'd be like, oh man, polarity, man. It's the third dimension, and I'm really embracing polarity more and more as time goes, in the remembrance of just how immaculate it is to be able to, at free will, and the free will doesn't even matter. And with the free will, you just create cause and effects. And then you study it and you analyze it and you do whatever you want with it again. And then it's just a repetition of that. Like, that's such a unique thing, I feel like. And I used to kind of see polarity as like a negative thing in a way. And with that, finds for me like a lot of tolerance and like a lot of comfort with going through different contrasts of experiences, and also accepting what others are moving through and what they explain or experience in their life as well. And there's something I want to read here real quick before I pass it back. And it's out of the good old book that we have mentioned a few times, the good old Kabbalion, Hermetic Philosophy, Teachings of Thoth the Atlantean. And I'm going to read for a moment the law of polarity. Another thing that really came to me too, because I've been diving into a lot of scripture-like things, is that remembrance of there could not be what we see as evil without there being good. But there also could not be what we call good without there being evil present. So it's like, whoa, hold on. So you mean to tell me, even though we are thinking good, just means like there can't be evil or anything else existing? In the laws of polarity, it shows us that in order for there to even be good existing, then there also has to be what is not good existing parallel to it in the laws of polarity. So I'm going to read to you guys out of the Kabbalion here, principle number 4, and that is the principle of polarity. So the principle embodies the truth that everything is dual. Everything has two poles, everything has its pairs of opposites, all of which were old Hermetic axioms. It explains the old paradoxes that have perplexed so many, which have been stated as follows. Thesis and antithesis are identical in nature, but different in degree. Opposites are the same, differing only in degree. The pairs of opposites may be reconciled. Extremes meet. Everything is and isn't at the same time. All truths are half-truths. Every truth is half false. There are two sides to everything. It explains that in everything there are two poles or opposite aspects, and the opposites are really only the two extremes of the same thing, which many varying degrees between them. To illustrate, heat and cold, although opposites are really the same thing, the difference consisting merely of degrees of the same thing. Look at your thermometer and see if you can discover where heat and cold begins. They're heat of the same thing. And that same thing, which manifests as heat and cold, is merely a form, variety, and rate of vibration. So heat and cold are simply the two poles of that which we call heat. And the phenomena attendant thereupon are manifestations of the principle of polarity. The same principle manifests in the case of light and darkness, which are the same thing, the difference consisting of varying degrees between the two poles of their phenomena. Where does darkness leave off and light begin is the question. What is the difference between large and small, between hard and soft, black and white, sharp and dull, noise and quiet, high and low, positive and negative? The principle of polarity explains the paradoxes. No other principle can supersede it. The same principle operates on the mental plane.
Whoa. We were meant to be in this polarity. You know what? If we just took a seat at the seat of our higher being or our soul, spirit, whatever you choose to call it, and we had a powwow, our higher being would tell us we chose to come here. We put on, we got it, like having a Halloween, getting dressed as kids for Halloween. We got our costume. The costume was called Sandy. And mommy and daddy called the creator, made sure that the costume fit, that I had everything I needed. Even gave me a backpack because I might be playing for a while, and scooted me on my butt and said, "Go play, Sandy. You're going to have a little amnesia for a while. That's okay. When you get into that on that playground, it's gonna feel a little uncomfortable, but you and your higher being will connect again, and you'll remember or recall why you're here playing in this polarity. If there is an up, there will be a down. If there's a left, there's going to be a right. If there's the sea, there's going to be the land. If there's the sky, there's going to be the ground. So if there's hate, there's going to be unconditional love, or some people just call it love. If there's dislike, there's going to be like. I mean, there's so many different polarities, but it's so many because we need to play. We decided as higher beings that we wanted to have more expressions of play. So that's why we picked third density. This is all Ra is saying. And if you notice, Ra is telling us at this particular time in about the 1980s that there was more than just one third density sphere. That Earth consciousness wasn't the only one playing at this point. There were other playgrounds. The third density might have been created for a whole different reason. It may not have been created for Earth consciousness's reason, but it's third density that got to play, and they figured it out. Did you hear Ross say that? Because the questioner said, is it like that in any other third density or even fourth density? And Ross said, no. They figured it out. So we just need to figure it out. If you figured out that this is the matrix, and now you figured out that it's matrix, what are you going to do? Are you going to be fearful about being in the matrix, or are you going to learn a little bit more about it and how you can manipulate it, because I guarantee you the people that you're complaining about that might be trying to hold, that you think are trying to hold you captive in their story, the upper stories, the big pharma and blah blah blah, they already know about these polarities. They know how to use them. And they knew that they got to decide if they wanted service to self or service to others. And they chose service to self. And that's why they're playing like that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying they made a choice. Well, you get to make the same choice too. Do you want to play in their playground, on their playground area, and be a party to being fearful of what they're throwing out? Because they're saying, if you come play in my playground, the only role that you get to take on is being fearful of me, being scared of me. If you decide to go to another part of the playground, it doesn't mean that their playground doesn't exist anymore. It just means you're not playing there, and you get to observe them in discernment instead of in fear, and instead of in judging. That's all Ra is saying. This is that the energy is there. If there's an up, there's got to be a down. If there's left, there got to be a right. If there's happy, there's got to be sad. You don't have to stay in one particular polarity for any length of time or any longer than you so choose to. So if you want to be in the vibration of being miserable, then misery loves company, and it's guaranteed that the universe will open other miserable people showing up to play with you. That's all Ra is saying. That's all Ra is saying. This is third density. You can try to spiritual bypass, but it might work, it might not. It might work to a degree until you find out, ooh, that doesn't feel good. I guess I have to deal with it. Whether you do a shadow walk, or you go to a therapist, or you have to go do some Reiki or whatever, you will. It's the catalyst that says you're going to eventually deal with me. I don't know when it's going to happen. The universe isn't going to say when it's going to happen for you, but the catalyst is going to increase itself until you do. There we go. It's only going to increase. It's not going to make you do anything. Why? Because free will always exist. The will of the divine is your will. The divine did not make a will for itself and then say, well, I'm going to give you free will, and then I'm going to impose myself on you. That's what you're led to believe. At least for me, for a long time, until I asked a pertinent question and got kicked out of church because I didn't believe it anymore. Well, not kicked out. My mom was told, you need to work on her mouth. Otherwise, she can't come to Sunday school. Right? So the questioner says, here we go. The questioner is going to talk about psychic attacks again. Can you describe what you call the psychic attack component and tell me why it is strong at this particular time? I am Ra. We shall elect not to retrace previously given information, but rather elect to note that the psychic attack upon this instrument is at a constant level as long as it continues in the particular service. So they talked about it before. So Ra says, we elect not to talk about this because she's doing okay. Right? Variations towards the distortion of intensity of attack occurs during due to the opportunities presented by the entity in any weakness. At this particular nexus, the entity has been dealing with the distortion which you call pain for some time. So you call this as you call this measurement, and this has a cumulatively weakening effect upon physical energy levels. This creates the particular favorable target of opportunity, and the entity of which we have previously spoken has taken this opportunity to attempt to be of service in its own way. It is fortunate for the ongoing vitality of this contact that the instrument is a strong-willed entity with little tendency towards the distortion, called among your people hysteria, since the dizzying effects of this attack have been constant and at sometimes disruptive for several of your durational periods. However, this particular entity is adapting well to the situation without undue distortions. She doesn't have any distortion towards fear. Thus, the psychic attack is not successful, but does have some draining influence upon the instrument. So, because she's not falling to the attack, right? The distortion, the sickness, she's not allowing herself to say, oh, I'm going to be that. Right? It's like somebody, you tell somebody, oh, we found a calcification. And the moment you find a calcification, you're off on a tangent. Oh, they haven't even done anything else, but I've got a calcification. I'm going to die. Right? Calcification is just lumpy material that either it's malignant or benign, but you have to find out which one. You can't just, run off with the tangent before you discern the information and how you want to create from that information. And remember, it's polarity, just like Marcus says, it's a choice. If there's a negative aspect, you get to choose that, or a positive aspect, you get to choose that. It's there, right? Let's see. Someone has said something. Attacks are only successful when the channel allows or accepts it. Exactly. That's what Ra is saying. That the person that Ra is channeling through is very strong. She's not accepting it. Ra is telling the questioner, you're asking about it because it concerns you, but the channeler is fine, right? And telling the questioner, you've already asked this question in a different session, right? Over to you, Marcus.
Well, I would so here's the thing also in this wonderful multidimensional life that we're in. And We have multiple states of being. Ooh, what do I mean by that? We have multiple states of being, as in, we can be conscious, or we can be in our subconscious doing autopilot unconscious behaviors. What does this mean? What am I getting to here, Marcus? Well, what I'm getting to is, with this free will, and with this thing called like accountability that Ross talked about, but allowing doesn't necessarily have to mean we consciously said verbally that we want to allow something into our field. Allowing could also be we are unconscious that we are allowing something energetically into our field. And this could be because we are having a trauma response, or we're triggered, or we are acting impulsively and we weren't consciously aware of the action that we took in that moment. And then from that moment, we then opened up our energy to a certain field and consented to it, whether it was intentional or non-intentional. And that's what's fascinating to me about this multidimensional life that we're in, is we can intentionally do things and we can unintentionally do things. And either way, it still has an effect of how it is we operate and experience our next steps in this free will. So what I always circle back to when it comes to these kind of rhymes and riddles of the universe of self is, now I understand. Like I really understand why we have, you know, what we call self-mastery or alchemist and things of that nature. Because it's like, if I'm going to be plugged into this game of life and I'm here for it and I have to be a part of it, since I'm a part of this life and I'm here, then do I want to allow life in the outside world and other people to dictate the way that I live my life? Or do I want to allow my inner yellow illuminated spirit connection to dance inside of me as I guide it and feel with my free will energy what it is I have a passion for in this life, and shine more of that into this world and share the love and the joy and the smiles, the cheesy grins, the giddiness of what it is that in this life, and bring more of that for others to experience. Even if I look like a lunatic in the middle of the grocery store, laughing and having fun in the aisle. Yeah, that's me. Still to this day, 30 years old. I'd be dancing and singing in the grocery store with my partner and with my friends, wearing my Dragon Ball Z attire. And I tell you what, it has attracted some of the most beautiful experiences. People will compliment my Dragon Ball stuff. They'll just embrace me with an inner child openness because they see me embracing my inner child openness. And it's infectious, man. I'm telling you, like, we are infectious with the way we use our energy. You can really change your room. And the whole contrast of energy. And I love that feeling though. I love that feeling of just coming in and bringing joy, upliftment, letting people be able to let go of something that could be really stiffening them. And yeah, that's one thing I just really wanted to talk about was that right there. And you know, free will is such an amazing thing. And I gotta say, you know, it's pretty amazing to be here in this moment. And what I mean by that is it's very amazing to be able to be the self, to have our own unique blueprint, to have a whole entire home that we are living in, to have things within the home, to then be able to sit in a chair and then sit at a desk. And then we have these devices that, quite honestly, are quite magnificent when you think about it. We have these devices where we can assimilate through light and codes pixelizations of ourselves in a different space through a lens onto another person's screen that we also turn on and off and close and open apps and tabs with, and then erase it all like it doesn't even exist, and then make more stuff. I mean, come on, man. Come on. How fascinating can this life really get? Like, whew.
Whew. Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm going to say this. I know that my inner spirit or my higher being chose my birth year for a reason. Because as I sit more and more with my higher being and just sit and just listen to it share with me, that it chose that specific year because it said, Sandy, I had a lot to do. There was a lot that I wanted to experience, and I wanted a one-time shot to do it. And when I think about it, I grew up in the 60s. I grew the 60s and the 70s. I was fully grown by the 80s. I was grown up in the 80s and 90s. 2000, my children were becoming grown and embarking out, and I was starting for that mature year. When I do the numerology, I am studying numerology. It blows me away. In this numerology book, it gives you every 9 years what your expansion is, what our growth cycle is, what our learning, what we came to learn, how we came to grow. And at this particular time in this book that I'm reading, it's telling me that at my birth year date, or my birth, my age, at 50, I was at the where I should be at to be more in tune spiritually and growth wise, to be in tune with my higher being, my spirituality, how to embody it in my everyday life, and all of this. And that's all Ra is saying, and that's all any of the people who have come in and made comments, is we get to make choices. And only things can happen to us if we choose to let them happen. And Marcus said there is a point where we are still choosing to make it happen, even unconsciously, because we're unconsciously living life and still making choices. And that's why I say we all human beings are very conscious that we're living. We're very conscious that we've got two things to do. We're going to live and then we're going to die. But when you start to become aware and you start to have your recalls, and it's not about you judging other people who haven't gotten there yet, but if you think that's your business to go do that to them, then you misunderstand what recalling and wholeness is all about. And spiritual, your spiritual recall is all about. It's about wholeness. It's about allowing somebody to have a recall moment when they're ready. And it's okay if they want to live in what we as spiritually call their unconsciousness. Why? Because it's a free will choice. And once they make a choice, it becomes a catalyst for them to learn. Whether it's a good choice or not, right? It's still a choice. It's growth and expansion. Marcus, I have time for one more question. Do you? Did you hear me?
I have plenty full of time.
Yeah, I've got time for one more question. My dog is starting to kick my table. It's almost what, 6:25? And I'm looking, and it's Instagram keeps kicking me out of my other page. So, oh well. Okay, so the questioner says, I will ask if I hold on. He says, I will ask if I am correct in this analysis. Okay. We would consider that the entity making this so-called attack is offering its service with respect to its distortion in our polarized condition now, so that we may more fully appreciate its polarity. And we are appreciative of the fact and thank this entity for its attempts to serve our one creator in bringing to us knowledge in, shall we say, a more complete sense. Is this correct? I am Ra. There is no correctness or incorrectness to your statement. It is an expression of a positively polarized and balanced view of negatively polarized action, which has the effect of debilitating the strength of the negatively polarized action. Not right or wrong. She could have chose to polarize in a different action, and it took the weakness and the discomfort and rode and chose that. Her free will could have went to the distortion and felt icky and felt crummy and complained about it and whatever, but she decided that she was not going to yield to the distortion. That was her choice. Even if this questioner keeps asking about it, even while Ra is saying she's okay, she's strong. But because the questioner wants to know more about it, the questioner is asking this information and using her as an example. And Ra is saying that these symptoms that show up are catalysts. You get to have a question to the catalyst. Where do you want me to go from here with this? For me, my catalyst was when the calcification came up, and then they diagnosed the calcification and gave it a label. I had to ask, why now? That was my embodying question to the distortion that was presented. Many other people are presented with that same distortion, and they decide that their free will is going to yield to whatever the doctor tells them. Oh, you've got 6 months. And then they go, oh, I got 6 months. Some people say, don't tell me how long I got. I'm just going to go live. And then they live another 60 years. It's about how you either react or take right action. Either you're reacting in judgment of, or you're taking right action because you're discerning and saying, okay, I want to go here. You could say distortion is a karmic reaction that's going to lead you to the gateway of your dharmic choice. Where do you want to go with it? Man, you're going to have to go to my Spotify for my second session of my podcast. It'll be up tomorrow. Soul Conversation. Soul Awakening Podcast, Karma and Dharma. And the universal laws are sprinkled all in it. The cosmic laws are sprinkled all in it. And the hermetic laws are sprinkled all in it. Why? Because they have this magnificent dance. And we get to come dance with them. We get to imbue them, embody them. And they get to embody us. Because that's how they feel what love feels like, what hate feels like, what joy feels like, what liberation feels like. They get to feel all the negative polarities and the positive polarities. They're living energy as well. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It blew my mind when the divine shared that with me as I was learning, as the divine was saying, okay, you're learning this, but while you're learning it, you're also going to be teaching it. This is the first time that I am the learn/teach at the same time. Blows my mind. Right? So with that, I do have to leave that as the last question that would be answered by Ra. We will pick up on page 119 if you have the book and you're following. But this is not telling you to go out and buy the book. Okay? We are just saying, I am just saying, oh no, the Ra just said, we are just saying that we're ending at the bottom of page 119. This is episode 71, people. Episode 71. Am I correct, or are we at 72?
We are now going to be at 72 next week.
I'm telling you. 71.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? The divine knew.
71.
Ra knew. Ra knew. The expression, Ra is the expression of the divine. And in what might be six density, what would you call that? Six density higher being? He's got another title for it. We learned about it in the book 1. But these books were written, 70s, 80s. So I'm quite sure Ra is well on more than 6 density. Right? Anyway, so I digress. I want to say,
Wait a minute. What's
everyone, pardon? Did you hear me? Did I break up?
Oh, we are being interrupted.
Hi, this is Debbie Solaris, and I get asked a lot about the Andromedans, so I just want to share some information about the Andromedan civilization and its galactic history. After the Lyran Draconian Wars, quite a few of the Lyran humans who escaped the wars wandered in our galaxy for quite a while, as they were hunted and pursued by the draconian beings who destroyed their planets.
Is it working?
They were living in hollowed out asteroids and moons. They were basically living on crafts and having to move constantly all the time, looking for a place that was safe. Several of these Lyran starships sought refuge in outlier constellations, such as Cygnus and Cassiopeia, that were created to be way stations for weary Lyran refugees to rest and replenish provisions. While these refugees were hiding out in Cassiopeia, there were cat beings in the Cassiopeian system that assisted them and recommended that they make their new home and settlements in the Andromeda constellation. It is thought that the beings from the Cassiopeian system interacted with them approximately 2.5 million years ago. The Cassiopeian cat people recommended Andromeda because they knew that the Lyran refugees were weary of traveling and hiding, and Andromeda was relatively close to their star system. The Lyran refugees ended up settling in 2 solar systems in the Andromeda constellation. We know them as Star 42 and Star 44. Star 42 is Zenithal, which is now their star system. Star 44 is Tishtay.
I don't know what happened there, but there's a
Wow.
message that came through in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Wow.
Well, I'm just saying, well. This is how we end it. And then we pick up 72, episode 72, next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same raw place, same raw experience. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. You don't have to agree with everything. Ra isn't saying that you have to agree with them at all. Just have a little growth. Expand a little. Evolve a little. Wash, rinse, and repeat a little. And we'll see you next week.
Wholeness.
Wholeness and balance love.